Good day. We are here at UD Trucks talking with Rory Schulz about environmental matters that are so topical today in our industry. Rory, we are all aware of the greenhouse gas effects on global warming and the subsequent focus that has filtered down to our industry. Would you please simplify this matter and identify the major elements which we and our clients need to be aware of when calculating their carbon footprint?
Thank you very much, Johnny. Yes, indeed, it is quite a topical subject at the moment. The main thing to consider is due to combustion that takes place when we mix diesel and air, we have basically some minor components as byproducts, and then we have some major components as byproducts. These major components, first of all, are very important and play an important role in terms of the greenhouse gases that you mentioned. Those two byproducts are water, H2O, and as you know, that has no impact on the environment. Matter of fact, we could do with a bit more of it in South Africa. However, the second byproduct is carbon dioxide. Now, you may not be aware, but carbon dioxide is a natural component. It's found within the environment, within the atmosphere, and it in itself does not create a problem for us. However, the carbon dioxide is believed to be one of the greatest components creating the greenhouse gas effect. So that, as we all know, is related to rising temperatures and the problems related with that. So, of course, one has to look at how do we go about minimizing the carbon dioxide. Unfortunately, carbon dioxide and the amount of carbon dioxide that is produced is directly proportional to fuel consumption. So simplistically, that means for every liter of diesel that we burn, we will produce 2,663 kilograms of carbon dioxide. So one can therefore see that the more fuel we're going to use, the greater the impact is going to be in terms of the greenhouse effect. So for us then and for our customers to be able to calculate the carbon footprint that you spoke of, it simply means we take the amount of fuel we burn in our fleets and we multiply that by 2.663 kilograms to get to the amount of carbon that that particular fleet will produce in a given period.
Rory, thank you for that insight. What then is the relevance, if any, of introducing higher Euro engines than that as prescribed by the South African legislation?
Johnny, the impact of the Euro regulations has got to do with the minor byproducts that I mentioned earlier. Now, those minor byproducts in reality are what we would call the pollutants. They're classified into four main areas. Basically, carbon monoxide, which we know is a poisonous gas. And if you are in a confined space with more than 30% volume of carbon monoxide, it can be deadly. Secondly, we have hydrocarbons that are a byproduct. And these hydrocarbons are basically responsible for cancer or the formation of cancer within us. So obviously we have to look at people's health in terms of having too many hydrocarbons around. Thirdly, we get a byproduct called NOx, which is basically your nitrous oxides and nitrous dioxides. That in itself, in its pure form, is poisonous, but very seldom appears in its pure form. But it is responsible for acid rain. So obviously, part of us trying to generate oxygen, we need the forests, and especially the rainforests. But obviously, with the excess of acid rain, these forests are being depleted at a rapid rate. And then finally, we sit with particulate matter, which is typically that black soot that one would see in an exhaust system. And that is also a problem in terms of respiratory health, as well as cancer forming. So these items are not dealing with the greenhouse gas effect and the dangers that we have because of temperatures rising, but more to do with our everyday health. When we combine, for example, hydrocarbons with NOx, we will get what we call smog that you most probably saw in the 30s and the 40s and even into the 60s in some of the big cities in the world. And those created a lot of health problems. It was in reaction to that the European emission standards and other standards around the world were developed. So what does that mean for us? It means, yes, we need to reduce those to reduce the effects on our health. And if we look at the Euro 1 to Euro 3 standards, they focus very much on a high level or a high standard in terms of the carbon monoxide and the hydrocarbons. And going forward into the Euro 3, 4 and 5 standards, there we see very much an emphasis on the reduction of NOx and a reduction of the particulate matter. Now the problem is the technologies required for those reductions in NOx and particulate matter have become quite advanced. It's typically there where we would see things like diesel particulate filtration, we will see specific catalytic reduction, we will see the add-in of urea or AdBlue into those technologies, we will see NOx traps, we will see hydrocarbon inhibitors, and these technologies are quite expensive. The one drawback that we do have in terms of those technologies is they all require a low sulfur content fuel. So if we don't have a low sulfur content fuel, that is fuel that is less than 50 parts per million, it's basically ineffective. So that is the problem we have in South Africa. We don't have that Euro 4 or 5 enabling fuel, whilst our competitors are bringing in those vehicles. Without that fuel being guaranteed to be freely available, the efficiencies of those technologies are somewhat depleted. So thus, whilst we comply to the Euro 2 portion of it, I think that is of a less dramatic or important impact in terms of what we're looking at with respect to the greenhouse gases, which I think pay a much larger and much more immediate danger to our future.
So Rory, listening to you, it would appear that fuel consumption, or should I say good fuel consumption, is key to reducing the effects of fuel emissions.
Yes, Johnny, I think you're correct in saying that good fuel consumption is the essence or the vital ingredient for us to reduce the greenhouse gas effect. Yes, we are aware of the pollutants that are caused, and those we do look after through the Euro 2, 3, 4, 5 standards that we will apply now and into the future. Fuel consumption, as I said, plays a major role because of its direct relation or its proportionality to the formation of carbon dioxide. So it's vital for us to focus on technologies in the short term to reduce fuel consumption. In our case, very much the focus has been on the combustion processes within our engines. We have introduced in most of our ranges, there's some electronics been introduced to manage the fuel and to manage the fuel efficiency. So it becomes vital then that we as manufacturers play a role in providing the technologies for good fuel consumption. However, the fleet operator or the customer out there also has a vital role to play in terms of the wastage or additional fuel being burnt. Things like excess idling time need to be taken care of. Are we optimizing the loads? Are we optimizing our route utilization? Are we ensuring that our drivers are trained and are driving the vehicles to the correct ability and to the best fuel consumption or fuel saving techniques that are required for diesel vehicles out there? Maybe at this juncture, Johnny, it would be good for us to maybe hear firsthand from one of our leading customers as to what they've done regarding the fuel consumption issue and what of our value-added products are assisting them to ensure that they are keeping their carbon footprint as low as possible.
Here at Barloworld, many of our clients are starting to adopt the just-in-time philosophy, which means not only do we have to have maximum fleet uptime, they're also requesting that we measure our CO2 emissions of the vehicles moving goods for them, because it's become a very important point and factor to our clients. We believe in Barloworld that maintenance contracts is definitely the way to go. And the reasons for that is it gives you the required uptime. It helps you with your budgeting and forecasting of expenses going forward. A 5-year contract period is a long time, so to have a clear understanding what those costs are going to be over the period is very beneficial. You don't have any surprises coming your way as far as unexpected repairs are concerned. And in our company, we're not the experts in maintaining vehicles. There's no need for us to have our own workshops, our own technicians, etc., etc. We leave this to the experts that are fully trained, up-to-date training, the specialized equipment required. So we steer away from that because that's not our core business. Our core business is to get the deliveries of our customers' goods to the delivery points on time. That's what we focus on. If we compare the total life cycle cost of a vehicle and you do a comparison between a vehicle on a maintenance contract or doing it yourself, it just does not make sense to do it yourself. The infrastructure that you need to establish for your own workshops, the staff, the special tools, the stock holding of parts, the cost of carrying those parts in stock just doesn't make sense. Outsourcing it back to the manufacturer is by far a cheaper way of doing it. A contract period might only last 5 years with a client, but that infrastructure, you're not going to pay that infrastructure off over 5 years. It just does not make sense for that kind of investment. It also then takes away a lot of the risk, ensures that the vehicles are maintained correctly, ensures our uptime is done correctly. And another important thing, because we have to report on our CO2 emissions, we get the manufacturer who produced the vehicle and maintains the vehicle also measures those CO2 emissions to ensure that the emissions are in line, and that definitely improves fuel consumption and make sure that we're 100% in line with our clients' requirements.